Hi, it's Nell, and coming up is a rather long video about me pruning two geraniums. They're actually pelargoniums. I go into that in the video a bit, and I'll go into it a little more in the blog post. Most people know them as geraniums, so I just called them that. So if it's a little too long for you, you can either just watch me filming the first one, and or you can read the blog post. The link to that will be down below. And this was back in August in my cousin's kitchen. There's a lot of background light where I was filming in a corner. I didn't have my microphone. I had my cousin's much smaller tripod. My cousin's wonderful mother-in-law was cooking in the kitchen in the background. You can hear her chop, 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 and then you'll hear her talking every once in a while. So it's that kind of a video, but I wanted to do it because it was just too good an opportunity to pass up, and my cousin really wanted me to. So you'll find it useful, especially if you're new to pruning these plants. And even though these two are growing indoors year round, this will be helpful if yours has grown a lot during the summer and you are bringing it indoors for the winter. And what else? Oh, also you'll see me using scissors for the first one, but then my cousin-in-law came home and he found the pruners, so I'm using pruners in the second one. So on to the video, or on to the rest of the video. Hi, it's Nell, and today I am in Connecticut visiting my cousin. I'm not in Tucson, but I do want to show you how to prune a geranium that has gotten a little bit out of control. She has this patio outside. This grows inside all year long. Actually, a pelargonium. Pelargoniums and geraniums are in the same family, Geraniaceae, but everyone calls them geraniums, so I'm just going to call them a geranium. But the pelargoniums are typically recognized by these thick, fleshy stems. They've got much fleshier stems than do the true geraniums, which tend to be cold hardy. The ones like there's geranium incanum, there's Johnson's blue. One of the common names, general common names, is cranesbill. I'll leave just a little bit about that in the blog, but I'm gonna just concentrate on how to prune this. And now it is mid-August, so I don't want to give it a really heavy, severe pruning because it's going to be going into the fall and the winter time. So it'll be getting darker earlier here with standard time, and then the winter comes, so there won't be as much light. So I don't want to give it a real hackback, but I just want to prune it. I'm going to prune it back to about here and then take it down to about here. But it's just taking up quite a bit of space in their dining nook here. So, but as you can see, it does flower, and it does have some flower buds coming on it. So hopefully by doing this, it's going to encourage it to flower even more next year. So here's a little closer view of it for you. You can see those big fat stems up close now. And it doesn't have a white fly, it doesn't have a mealybug, it doesn't have any kind of insects, even though it does grow indoors. And you can see how long these stems are. So if she wanted, she could propagate them in water. So I might save a few and see if she wants to. They can actually be propagated in either water or soil. But for now, I'm just going to prune it back. Here is the whole plant here, starting there, and then it goes all the way. in-law who's over there in the kitchen cooking, but she did round up a nice sharp pair of scissors for me. And these work because these are softer, fleshier stems, so I really don't need the pruner. So if you just have some sharp scissors for this job, it'll be fine. But I'm just going to try to get this so you can see how leggy this stem was here. Right there. And then now this part remains here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it right here. Right above a leaf node. This one that's shooting up and out, I'm going to cut right there. And even if it has a flower bud on it like this one does here, that's okay because I'm just trying to get it done for her. This one I'm going to cut right here. So right over in here, I've already pruned and taken all this up, but it's time to take this right here. So take that right there. This is a little bit of a crazy tangle mess in here, so let's see what am I going to do. I'm going to cut this off here first completely, all the way back to there. I think I'll cut off this completely. I can always go back and take off more if I want to. But that kind of opens up that there. Then I'm just going to tip this right here. And of course I'll go back through and I'll take off all the dead foliage too. Now if you were doing this pruning in spring, you could do it a little bit more aggressively if you wanted to. But because we're going into winter, I don't like this stemmy stalk here. I'll cut it off and I'll show you. Right there. There's no sense in saving that at all. There's some growth right here, so I'm going to save that. Here's the flower on it. You can see I'm about halfway done with the pruning here. It's a beautiful flower. I have no idea what variety this is, but you prune them all the same way. And if you let them go too far, then they get really, really stemmy, and it's hard to bring them back. Yeah, that's why. When I walked in and I saw this one, I thought, oh, that's a job for me to do. So here's a view of how it looks so far. It's about 3/4 of the way done. It didn't take very long at all. Just have to prune a little bit on the back, and then I want to go and see if I need to tip anything. And I noticed that it was dry. I always make sure things are watered before I pruned, but not being really familiar with this plant, it's not my plant. I was like, oh. So I just gave it some water too. So the leaves should be perking up a little bit. And the soil is down in the pot, so I need to replenish a bit of that too. This is the last of the major pruning that needs to be done. So I'm going to cut this. Oops, I just hit the screen. That's good. This one I already cut off, I think, because it was so long. Actually, I was just testing the scissors to make sure. And they were sharp enough to cut. So cut a little more off of there. And then there's this skinny stem here that the growth you really can't see, but it's right back up here. So there are some of those scrawny stems. So back here, I don't like how this one is all kind of tangled up on top of that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it right there. This is the back of the plant, so I can't show you. These are just kind of the finessey things. Then I'm going to cut that stem there to open it up, so things can all have plenty of room to grow. There's not going to be a ton of growth on this coming back right now. So I've decided that this is a little too long here for what I want in the kitchen, so I'm just going to prune it right here just to take it in a little bit more.
Sounds good to me.
Good, good. I'm glad you approve, Graham.
Well, actually, unless November changes things in general, I'll be taking care of these things.
You will. So it's going to be much easier for you to take care of when it's not so crazy. Little bit of a trim right here. And this one down here is a little long now that I've cut everything off. So looking at it, I'm going to cut off this whole
How often
arm.
do you feed those? Do you feed them?
This, you can feed it. It's not really the best time to feed it now because it'll be going into well, you could feed it now, but you wouldn't want to feed it any later than September 1st. But spring is the best time to feed these.
So you don't do anything
Spring.
through the winter?
No, no, because the plants are resting. So,
Okay.
so you want to let their roots rest.
Just water them?
Yeah. Back off on the watering too. You don't want to water it, as much in the winter either. So, so just back off on the watering of it.
Will the leaves turn yellow or anything?
No, the leaves shouldn't turn yellow. You just aren't going to see you just aren't going to see a lot of growth because it's the winter time. So, you might get some leaves turning yellow. It's just a reaction to the season, but it's not going to be a lot. The only reason you might get a lot of yellow leaves is because it's too dry or too wet. So here's the variety of stems I cut off. Some of them were really long and gangly, some of them were dead, some of them were crossing over. And in the front, you can see a little piece of some of the tipping I did. So it gives you an idea of what some of those actually looked like. Close up. Okay, so here's another pelargonium I'm going to prune. This one, as you can see, is really crazy. It really doesn't have that many stems. It just has a lot of growth at the end, so this one will be easy to do. But this one is one of the Martha Washingtons. So, I'm going to work on this one. I think I'm just going to put the tripod on the table and work that way. So I'm going to start with this stem here. I'm just going to loosen it, lighten it up a little bit to see what's going on because it's so thick. So now I can see, and that one is moist. Ooh, it's hard to turn it, so it's so full. Okay, so stem 2 here has some nice new growth coming there, so I'm just going to cut that right there. And that takes off a lot there. And this I'm going to leave a little bit over here to take it at an angle. There we go. Okay, this one is really long. See this? So I'm going to leave a little bit of foliage right there. But this is a lot of weight on the end here. So what it should do, or it will do, I see a node there. By doing this, it's going to encourage some of that to come up. And you can see how this soil is down too, so I'll also put a little bit of soil in here. And there's like 3 or 4 stems growing on top of each other, so I'm going to put the one on top first. What is underneath it? This is actually going out there, so maybe I'll cut this right here. Got that one. Now I can see this I'm going to cut right there. Then underneath you can see how this is all really weak growth. This is pretty, let's see, do I want that there or do I want to just cut this? I'm just going to cut this all the way back to here. This goes over that. I can see new growth right here. So let's see what I want to do. Cut away this, and then I'm going to cut that right there. So this is really going to look like sticks when I get through with it. So the last one, big one to cut is this one here. It's all pretty much one. So I'm going to cut off here. See all this growth on here, but the stem, let's see, there we go. The stem is really, so this is the last of what I really have to do in here before I do my touch-up pruning. This is awfully flippy floppy. I think it broke, so I'm just going to cut that off. It's sometimes the weight just pulls things over. Oh boy, there's a whole pile of growth here, and I'm going to cut this off. Right. Let's see. Maybe I'm going to cut off that one, and then I'll cut this right here. Alrighty. Oh boy. This is not the prettiest girl on the block, that's for sure. But it's got all winter to recuperate. And then in spring it can start to grow and shine, shine, shine. Now this, as you can see, is really very dense in here. So I'm going to clean up some of this growth. So on top of that, I'm going to take off this. I don't like this growth, but I don't want to cut it back too much because there's hardly anything here. That's all I'm going to do on this one besides top it off with some soil. Now this one looks really, really awkward, but let me zoom on in so you can see where the new growth is going to come out. Okay, so there is some new growth coming right there. There's some coming back there. There's some coming, oops. Let's get the camera over onto here. This you might be able to see right clearer here and here. So this should start to fill in beautifully over time. Okay, so this is as good as this one gets right now. As you can see, I topped it off with some nice dark rich soil. I ended up cutting off that one just because it was so long and it only had one leaf on it. So I thought, why bother as long as there's new growth coming out on it. So now I'm going to put it back in the sunroom, and it can just start to grow back. And here are the cuttings or the clippings I got from the Martha Washington pelargonium. Wow, it's a whole big pile of them. I'm saving a few cuttings though. So I hope you have found this video to be helpful about pruning overgrown pelargoniums, or geraniums as many people call them. They greatly benefit from it because they get long and straggly over time, and they need to be clipped and encourage them to fill in and of course to flower. I thank you for all your likes, your subscribes, your comments. I really appreciate them. And be sure to check the blog post that goes along with this video because there'll be more information and pictures in there as always. I have a lot more videos coming your way, so stay tuned for those. Now let's get out in the garden or into our home gardens and make our world a more beautiful place. As always, I thank you so much for watching. Bye!